Large amount of drugs, including nearly 740 grams of methamphetamine, more than 500 grams of heroin, along with several. This isn't the story that I wanted to put on, but I don't want to miss anything on it, so I rewound it a little further than I wanted to. But again, Chief Brown says the shortages remain and is asking for that cooperation and help from the community. Before I proceed, I just want to say it is so amazing to see that some of the activism that I've been doing over the last 20 years is paying off. And I want to thank the people out there that have had this same awakening I did as a child. In fact, I might have been just born that way. But to see these things change slowly but surely is very encouraging. So in Salt Lake City, Scott McCain, this is the story right here.
A decade of data shows that police in Utah disproportionately shoot at racial and ethnic minorities, according to our content sharing partners at the Salt Lake Tribune. Fox 15's Lexi Johnson has a look at why national.
They're actually trained that way, and this is what we, by we I mean activists, have been referring to in regards to systemic racism. It's so embedded in our society. Anyway, proceeding.
Experts say racial bias isn't a problem solely fixed by more training for officers. Hello, Lexi.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Yeah, experts say research shows that people, including officers, make more mistakes when under duress. Now, some of those mistakes, like shooting an unarmed person, tend to be the product of stereotypes that have been ingrained in a person, meaning more training won't necessarily remove those biases. Law enforcement experts tell the Tribune there are a few things that can be done to help remove those biases. One being, don't pull people over so often. Research shows that racial and ethnic minorities are impacted more by traffic stops, which can fuel disparity leading to police shootings. Research also shows that traffic stops don't make the roads any safer. Experts also suggest giving police fewer guns and refining training programs. Across the country, cities are creating specialized teams to respond to mental health-related calls. And so instead of armed officers dealing with mental health crises that they aren't necessarily trained for in some situations, police departments are sending unarmed mental health professionals for support, and then sometimes with armed officers as well. So more training would also help officers to learn more about their biases. Utah lawmakers recently passed a bill that increases required hours spent on de-escalation training for officers and how to interact with people in a mental health crisis. For the full story, you can just visit the Salt Lake Tribune.
So I wanted to touch on a couple things with that little tidbit of story right there. So mental health crisis. Sound familiar? Here's the thing. Different people from different cultures are raised differently, and they react differently to situations, and it's a generational thing too. Like, I don't know if anybody's noticed this commercial. It's got Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters. It's actually got Brett Favre in the bathtub, and then it's got Kevin Hart, and I'm assuming it's his wife in the background, but they're screaming the whole time. They're yelling, "I made lasagna! What? I made lasagna! What? Tomorrow is mañana!" Like, they just keep going back and forth, and they're yelling, and it's so funny because people from my generation, like, that's what we did when we greeted a friend or somebody. We're like, "Hey, what's up?" And now it's like you do that, and I feel like younger generation and some older generation, they're just like, oh my God, they're kind of taken back. They're like, why is this person yelling at me? But it's our generation. That's how we were. We were teenagers in the 80s, for crying out loud. Like one of the most obnoxious decades ever. It was the best decade ever. But anyway, case in point, I have been fighting to see these things right here since I was a teenager. And I've been a, down low activist since I was a kid. I was always, protecting animals, bringing in, I had friends that were not the typical popular kid in school. You know what I mean? Like they needed somebody, I was that person. So anyways, I've always been that person that kind of noticed things that others didn't. So it's really encouraging for me to see the country waking up and seeing that we have a big, fat, huge problem here in our country. And systemic racism is a real thing. And just because you don't see it, either A, you aren't in that situation, and I'm very happy that you're not. I never have been. Don't know anybody that's ever been. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Arguably, we believe in a lot of things that we haven't seen. But we still believe in them. And like there's proof, there's video proof. And I feel like, because of the way everybody has a camera in their hand at all times, it has helped bring awareness to a lot of issues. So to see this, trending this way to where we're going to see actual resolution is so encouraging, but we have so much more work to do. It's not even funny. Again, if you see something, do something about it.